Hello, welcome back. So today I just went out and harvested my carrots and I'm going to be making pesto with the carrot tops. A lot of you are probably familiar with making pesto with either basil or parsley, but you can also use the tops of your carrots so that nothing goes to waste. And even if you have a lackluster carrot harvest like I did, you still will get some food out of it. I grew carrots in a new spot this year and I thought they were doing really well. So I saw, poking out of the ground this nice thick top and I was like, oh gosh, these carrots are gonna be so beautiful. And then I pulled it up and we're very short. So, and this is one of the bigger ones. But that's okay. We'll still get some meals out of the carrots and I can make pesto with the tops. So the first thing I'm gonna do is separate the carrot from the stalk, and I'll, get the carrots kind of brushed off a little, put those in the fridge to have over the next probably, a couple months, and then I'll wash the tops. The other things that I'm gonna put into my pesto is Romano cheese or Parmesan cheese. I think I have both. And please excuse my horrible pronunciation of that cheese. And I'm also going to be adding in some walnuts. I'll just toast up some of these walnuts. You could use pine nuts or you could use no nuts. It's really, kind of up to you. And then of course, olive oil and some salt and pepper just to taste. So pestos, there's really not like a strict recipe. I kind of just do everything to taste, add a little bit, and till it gets to my liking. And then I'm just gonna freeze it in mason jars, to store away. I usually use smaller jars as I don't tend to use a ton of pesto at a time. My favorite things to do with it is put it on top of chicken, and then put like some cheese on top of the chicken and baste it like a chicken breast or something. Sometimes I'll do like a shrimp pesto pasta. But it's just my husband and I, so we're not usually using a ton of it. And once you defrost it, then, you have to use it kind of quickly. So I tend to just store it in smaller containers, but whatever works for you. You could maybe even use like ice cube trays, or use like the silicone little trays and make little pesto cubes. That would probably work well too. It's also good for that. You can just throw a cube or two in like some soup just to add some extra flavor. So lots of things you can do with it. So I'm gonna get started with getting my I feel like there's a bug crawling on me, but I think it's just my hair. I'm just gonna get my top separated from the carrots and then we'll kind of go from there, and I'll just bring you along and show you how I make my pesto. I'm just gonna use a pair of scissors to cut the stalk off. I'm just gonna put the carrots in a bowl for now, and then I'll stick these in the sink to wash them and kind of go through them. The ones that are kind of, dying off a little, I'll just separate those out and I'll give those to my chickens. So I'm just gonna keep the nice, real green ones. My chickens seem to really like the carrot tops. So a lot of these, from the part emerging from the soil, it looked like they're very promising, but not so much. But that's okay. We'll take what we can get. So I'll just keep doing this and then we'll check back in. Got the goods for the girls. Hey guys, I got stuff for you. Leftover watermelon from yesterday. Your good stuff? All right, now let's go make pesto. All right, so I've got my tops all separated. You just went up with me to the chicken coop to give them the discard ones to the chickens. So I have all these nice ones. They're all washed. They're drying. I also shredded up a bunch of cheese. It was a combination of Parmesan and the Pecorino Romano. And now I'm going to toast some of these walnuts. And to do that, you just need a dry saucepan, a dry pan. I'm gonna put the nuts and just, you know, kind of swirl them around every once and again. You don't put any oil or nothing, just the nuts in the pan. And you'll be able to smell, you know, when they're done. Just a light toasting, you know, nothing crazy. Just definitely don't want to burn them. Just toast them nicely. It helps the more flavor come out. And it'll just kind of intensify their flavor, and it's, yeah, just make it a little extra tasty. So once I do that, then we can kind of start putting everything in the blender and making the pesto. Really, you know, quite simple, quite quick and simple. Don't need to cook anything. So, all right, I'll get these toasted and then I'll get the blender out and we'll go from there. While those are toasting, I just wanted to show off my prize carrot. So, any expert carrot growers, what do you think was the issue? Was the soil not loose enough so they weren't able to get down? Why did they just get fat and stay really short? What was my problem? Please help me. This wasn't a good garden season overall, so just kind of going with the theme of the 2023 vegetable garden. Any tips though, let me know. All right, so I have the toasted nuts, I have the cheese, I have the carrot tops, I have olive oil, I have some pepper, and I have some salt. That is all we need for this pesto. And I have the blender. So I'm not gonna put in this like end stock. I'm just gonna put the leafy part in. But you know, you don't need to tear it up, cut it up too much, because obviously it's going in the blender. So, and I might need to do this in a couple batches. I do have quite a bit here. And I gave a lot to the chickens too. So we don't eat pesto like all the time. It's, you know, maybe not even probably once a month. I think that's just more because I don't think of it. I really like it. I'll have to ask Luke how much he likes it, my husband. Because if I end up with a whole ton of it, I might want to put it in kind of a more regular rotation. We'll have to see how he feels about that. He's never said he doesn't like it, but we don't have it that often, so if I start cooking it like every other week, he might be like, hold on, what's happening with all this pesto? All right, I'm just gonna go through and get as much of this in here as I feel will comfortably fit, and then we'll keep going after I do that. All right, so I've got, I don't know, about half of it in here, about half of my carrot tops. Maybe not even. This is gonna be quite a bit of pesto. I definitely don't think I grabbed enough jars. So anyways, all right, so I got some of the carrot tops in here. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the cheese. You can always add in more, you can't take out. So I would just start off adding, you know, less than you probably think you're gonna want. And then you can add more as you go. I don't know, I added like, I don't know, several soup spoons full. And I'm just gonna add in a little bit of pepper. And the more you cook, the more you'll know like what your tastes are and how much of certain things that you want. Like I said, I'm not using a recipe. Put in some salt. And I don't like a lot of the nuts in here. So I'm gonna be very, and I did make a mistake one year by putting too many in. And then, like you said, you can always add more in. You can't take out. So I just added like maybe 2 tablespoons of the toasted walnuts. And I'm gonna put my lid on, and then this way I can keep this piece open and I can drizzle the olive oil in as it's going. My blender is broken. I have to hold it down in order for it to go on, unfortunately. Just a little annoying. All right, so I'm gonna get this turned on low, and I'm just gonna drizzle in the olive oil until it gets to the consistency that I'm happy with, and then we will stop. Maybe. Oh, I have to hold it down. Like I just said. I'm gonna push it down a little with the spoon, and then I can pulse it a little. So there's some pieces that got like stuck in the corner here. Look how much it reduced. I might just start adding this second half into the same batch. So I think I'm just gonna add to this, but let me just get a little scoop just to see like where we're at. We definitely need more salt, more cheese, more everything. All right, so let's keep adding in more carrot tops. Every time I say carrot top, I keep thinking of Carrot Top, like the redhead comedian. I haven't seen him lately. I'm sure he's still around. Anyone know? Any Carrot Top updates? What happened to Carrot Top? I was watching reruns of George Lopez, and I saw him on an episode of that, but that show is, I think, very old at this point. But you can still find it on reruns. In case you're looking for a really old sitcom to watch. That's my suggestion. No judgment. Don't judge me. He has a new TV show. I haven't seen it. I don't know how this YouTube episode turned into discussions of George Lopez's television shows, but apparently that's what we've come to. That's okay. Leave your favorite 90s sitcoms in the comments. Might actually be 2000s. Could we be any more off topic? I'm not sure. I was trying to think of other things that we could use the pesto in. So obviously there's the like obvious pasta dish. I like to do it with like shrimp, and I like to make the shrimp spicy. And I'll put like some sun-dried tomatoes in there too. That's really good. I do enjoy that. You can make like a panini pesto chicken panini, or just maybe with some tomato and mozzarella, like a nice like a big like thick slice mozzarella. Pesto pizza, that's also another good one. That's a good way to use it. But also, I think I mentioned this earlier, but just like tossing in, if you do like do the little like ice cube method that I kind of briefly mentioned, you could just toss in a little cube into like a chicken soup, or if you're making like, I don't know, like a soup with like tortellinis in it, you know, something like that, that would just add like some brightness, like a nice burst of flavor. I think that would be really good. A minestrone soup. So there's lots of ways you can use it. I think I need to be a little more inventive with my pesto use to get more use out of it. I'm finally getting down to the end of my carrot tops here. That's the nice thing about growing certain kinds of root vegetables. It's kind of like a 2-for-1, like beets too. You also get the top that you can use when you're, you know, and then you have your, obviously the beet, the root part. And so yeah, you get Luke isn't a big fan of like greens, so he wouldn't eat the beet greens, but I like to have them, just saute them with like some garlic and onion, or just garlic really, butter, whatever, salt and pepper, and they're really good. All right, so finally, the last of our carrot tops. All right. My goodness. Oops. All right, so now I'm going to add in a good amount of more cheese, a lot more cheese, because that definitely needed more cheese. Oops, I'm spilling half of it everywhere. All right, and actually I'm just gonna add still a very small amount of nuts. That's probably like another, maybe like not even 2 full tablespoons. Get some more pepper and a generous amount of salt here. That's a lot of greenery to season. The cheese helps, but that's a lot of greens to get through. I don't like it when it, I don't want it to be super bitter tasting. All right, so let's get this going again. Kind of just pulse it to, I'm gonna have to turn it on low and put my olive oil in to get it going. Give it a little help here. And you do use quite a bit of olive oil, so I wouldn't use like, I mean, I guess it's up to you, but I'm not using like the finest of olive oils. I get olive oil, I actually have it here because I thought I would run out of that little bottle. I get it in bulk, and this is like a gallon size container from Azure Standard. So, I mean, it's a nice extra virgin olive oil, but it's not like it's not one that you're gonna get from like a fancy olive oil shop, that you would want to make like just use as a topping oil or use in salad dressing and such. smells good. I'll give it a little taste. That's pretty good. I'm gonna add some more cheese. That's what I say, with cooking, it's fun. Just taste it as you go. That's the key, I think, to good cooking, is just tasting as you go. Adding a little bit more, kind of building, layering. And add a little more pepper. We are big pepper fans in this home. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of crushed red pepper. Just a little. And I'll add a few more of the nuts, and then I think we're good with the nuts. I don't think I need any more salt at this point. Looking really good. I'm actually gonna do one final taste, and we'll get it out of this blender. That's good. You know what, Bob? You know what, but there's so little cheese left. I'm just gonna add the rest of the cheese. Maybe a touch more salt. Just drizzle in a little olive oil, and I'll just give this one quick final pulse, and then get it out of here. Grab a bowl, and I'll get it scooped out into the bowl just so I can give it like a really good mix without the blade, the blender blade in the way, and then we'll get it up into our jars. All right, so we got our lovely pesto here. Look how pretty it is. It tastes really good. I think I might fry up a couple of eggs and put some on it. That's another thing you can do with it. The little bits that are still left in the blender. I mean, look at all this food that we have from a product that, you might just toss away and not think about it, the tops of the carrot. And now we have this great food that we can, use throughout the winter months, and it's just a nice thing. Waste not, want not. Waste not, want not. Okay. Anywho, so I have these little small half pint. I think these are half pint. No, they're even smaller than that. They're the next size down than the half pint. This is a half pint. And then I got this little kind of goofy one. So let's see, I might end up needing more. But I'll show you what I do to try to help it so that it stays this nice green color when it's in the freezer, and then when I take it out and put it in the fridge to defrost it, so it doesn't like turn like brownish. So, and you do want to leave some space because it is, gonna expand a little when it freezes. You don't want it to be up to the tippy top because you don't want to crack the jar. So you don't want to leave a little bit of space. So you can see there's still some room at the top here. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna smooth this out as best as I can on the top, and then I'm gonna take some olive oil, and I'm just gonna put a layer of olive oil to cover the pesto, and then I'm just gonna put the lid right on. And that will help kind of preserve the color of it. And this is a reused lid because it's not being canned. It's just gonna pop in the freezer. So that does help kind of preserve the color a little bit. I mean, it won't change the flavor if the color changes, but you know, it just won't look as nice. And we do eat with our eyes. I definitely need more jars. This is quite a bit of pesto. I'm gonna be giving pesto away to people. All right, so I'm just gonna continue getting this all jarred up. All right, so I ended up with 2 of this size, the jelly jar size, 2 of these little baby guys, and then this little, it's kind of like a random, someone gave me, my mother-in-law gave me pickles in this jar. So this little fatty, short fatty. So that's quite a bit of pesto just from something, like I said, that you may just, you know, just discard and not really think about further. So hopefully you found that helpful. I know it wasn't like a real recipe, but it just kind of, I guess, shows you my process in cooking. I just, you know, I know what I want for my basic ingredients, and I just add in little bits at a time and taste, and until you get to, you know, what you think is a good taste for your flavor. So again, all that was in it was the carrot tops, which you could do the same thing with parsley. But if you have the carrot tops, or if you buy carrots that come with the tops, sometimes they have those even at like the grocery store. So just carrot tops. I used Parmesan and Pecorino Romano. Wow, yeah, I can't obviously say Italian cheeses. Anyways, mixed together, it was like half and half of each, because I only had a little chunk of each type of cheese. You could use one or the other or both, like I did. Olive oil, salt, pepper, and I did toss in some, just a few crushed red pepper flakes, and I used some toasted walnuts. You could also use pine nuts. Pine nuts are really expensive, and I don't really use them for anything else. I don't typically have pine nuts on hand. I always have walnuts for baking, so that's what I chose to use, or you could not use nuts, that's optional. So just go ahead and, you know, start and just add little bits at a time, and, you know, you'll come to a flavor that you're happy with. Everyone's is probably going to be a little bit different, which is great. That's one of the things I really love about cooking versus baking. You know, baking, sometimes you have to really be careful with sticking with the recipe. I mean, especially as far as like, you know, the baking powder, flour, salt, because it's kind of like a science that all works together. Oh, my cat's discovering an empty box. You know, to make sure the product is leavened correctly and all that jazz. But like cooking, you're just free to just explore whatever flavors that you and your family enjoy. So let me know if you found this helpful. Hopefully you did. If anything, it gives you a different idea of what to do with, you know, some carrot tops. And you got to see my little dinky baby carrots. So if you did enjoy, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, that would be great. Even leaving a comment. Let me know if you end up trying this or what you thought, or, you know, any feedback is great. If you are enjoying my channel, if you would subscribe, that would be awesome. You could also find me on Instagram at Mrs. White Homemade Life. I do also co-host a podcast, Figuring Out Homestead Life, so you can find us on, you know, wherever you listen to podcasts, and on Instagram as well. So with that, I think that is all, and I hope you have a great day, and let me know if you end up trying some pesto. Bye.